hyped for this finals Master TCG regional game.
I'm extremely excited. We haven't gotten to see Rith play at all, but he actually took down the 3-time world champion Jason Kosinski in the top 8 of this tournament. That's an amazing accomplishment, taking down a world champion.
Yeah, and you know, both players are running a similar Seismitoad EX list, so he's like, you know, I really like Toad. I think I can beat the best Toad in the field right now.
You know, and Andrew was saying, I don't want to face Seismitoad, but in this situation, what do you think Andrew would have to do to beat a deck like this that's just going to use Quaking Punch over and over and over?
Well, really early in the game, we can bust out one of my favorites. Hawlucha does have a sort of positive matchup against Toads. If Rith, for some reason, can't continually cycle Toads, you can get a knockout with Hawlucha. Really, anytime you can buy one turn of items is a big deal, so that's going to be big. Rith missing double colorless energy is going to be very big. You can't guarantee that that's going to hit your hand.
Yeah, I think if there's one card that's going to be the difference, it's like you said, that Hawlucha. It's the best way to combat that Seismitoad EX because Landorus EX, it's weak to water. It's not good against Seismitoad. You can get hit for double damage. Hammerhead, not that great. We also see things like Headringer in Rith's deck that can make Landorus much less effective. So, I don't know. It could come down to how many Golbat and Crobat Andrew gets out as well.
Well, there's my boy, Hawlucha, hitting the field. Let's see. Is there going to be a double? I do see a fire in Rith's hand. He could attach twice. He only runs 6 total energy in his entire deck.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, you only need the double colorless to power up Quaking Punch. He's comparing that Grenade Hammer attack. And he's going to start off here with the Skyla, but well, you know, he actually does play Computer Search as his A-Spec card.
That might be the play. Oh, he flips it right up to the top. We've talked about Old Faithful. Why is Computer Search so good? You can search for anything. Double colorless energy is so paramount to this strategy.
And we were talking about that victory piece. I mean, most of the time you're like, why would you even play Victini without victory piece?
Wait, why has Victini and no piece?
Yeah, he doesn't need it.
Wow, and only 2 fire energy, so it's sort of a, I guess, a last stand kind of card where you can maybe build it up on the bench and knock out some things.
Sure, so Skyla here coming out of Rith. He is searching for any trainer card here. Looks like he's eyeing up the Computer Search so that he could grab double colorless energy, get right into a Quaking Punch, but beyond that, his hand looks pretty weak.
Yeah, you know, a lot of decks, they don't always opt to play Skyla anymore because it doesn't draw you cards. It just allows you to search your deck for a trainer. And so being able to Skyla Computer Search for any card you want, it's a big deal.
Yeah, so he has to discard 2 cards here. Looks like he's going to drop a Lysander and a Tool Scrapper. Going to be worthless after he uses Quaking Punch because, well, his opponent can't play items anymore.
Yep. So we didn't see what he got, but I would be very surprised if it was colorless energy.
Yeah, and he starts off with the Muscle Band on the Seismitoad as well, so he can do that nice Quaking Punch for 50. Concern I have is that Rith's hand after this, not good.
It's terrible.
Yeah, he's just kind of relying on this one Seismitoad to carry him for a while. But he could also draw something like a Slurpuff to draw some extra cards.
So, if is going well for Andrew, it's that he has that Fighting Stadium sticking down, lets him deal extra damage to Pokemon EX. This is how Lucha, potentially, if he Lucha's 2-shot Seismitoad, if he can get, I guess he needs strong energies to cycle through. It's going to be rough.
We do see that of many Quaking Punches in this match. That's going to hit Hawlucha for 50 damage. And you got to wonder, how will Andrew respond here? He's going to start off quickly with the Golbat, the sneaky bite, and wow.
Oh, wow. So sneaky, he got it twice.
The double sneaky bite can set up, I guess, for a knockout later if he gets a Crobat out with a surprise bite. And it looks like, oh, he's actually going for the Landorus EX.
Wow. I guess he really wants to deny his opponent their Slurpuff. I'm not sure if he knows how good Rith's hand is, but it's going to get a lot harder when he no longer has an out to do a tasting.
Sure. It's going to be a big play because Rith doesn't really have anything. It's going to take away that opportunity to use Slurpuff. Swirlix will go down. And, wow, Andrew's going to take the first second turn there.
Top double colorless energy. Not so great. Wow, he can Crushing Hammer. Maybe discard energy here. Tails. Oh, boy. Now, the thing that's rough is he's sort of committed to this Landorus. He can no longer play a switch card to retreat it, but he only needs a couple turns to start piling on this damage and close out with Hawlucha. Rith is, even though he has, like, a better, I guess, positional advantage, if he can't find anything to draw, You lose in the Pokemon trading card game if you have no bench Pokemon and your active is knocked out.
Yeah, realistically, this is going to be like a one-turn window for Rith to draw something. Hammerhead is going to hit for another 50. If all Rith Quaking Punch again, Hawlucha's going to come out, and that'll be game over. So
wow.
This is a really, really fragile situation. And here's the Hammerhead. What does Rith draw?
Oh, that's
Slurpuff.
not going to do it. And that actually makes Andrew's decision to knock out the Pokemon on Rith's bench all that much better.
Yeah, and we're posed with an interesting situation. He could have just passed the turn and forced Andrew to have a switch, but no, he goes for the Quaking Punch, and now it's just fighting energy, flying breath.
Hawlucha. Wow.
Wow, what? First game's over already?
What? How did that happen? I thought Seismitoad's supposed to force slow games.
I guess so, but when you don't draw supporters, you just have a pretty bad hand. That can happen to anybody.
Oh, that's rough. So it's hard, because when you're Rith, you're like, I really, really would like to grab myself this double colorless energy. Maybe could have opted to Skyla for another supporter, since he had none. But in doing that, you give your opponent a free turn of items. It's like, do I put everything forward for this lock, or do I try and play for the end game by, I guess, more of an aggressive play? It ended up backfiring, and Andrew already has one win against a matchup that, on paper, actually isn't that good.
He's one win away from winning the tournament.
Wow, I can't believe it. That was so fast.
I know. That can happen to anybody, but Andrew had a really good opening hand. I do want to stress that. The double Golbat.
That was paramount.
Yeah.
Without the second Golbat, like just one, he can't knock out the Swirlix on the bench with Hammerhead.
Yeah, and that out really made a difference. That Slurp, he couldn't evolve, and, well, that's it. Just left with that lone Seismitoad, and he fell to the mighty Hawlucha.
Oh, man. And he runs so many supporters. Was only able to find Skyla, and that's something that we were stressing. It's great for finding that one special card, but it does not draw. So if your hand has no other draw supporters, it cannot be the greatest supporter ever.
Yeah, hopefully we see a better game in the second game. And I would love to see this go to 3 games, have some really fun, interesting games as these two players are setting up. I do want to note, I thought Rith would play Jirachi EX, but since he has that 4-4 Slurpuff line, we don't see Jirachi anywhere in his list.
No, this is one of the most basic lists we've seen so far today, opting for complete consistency. There's the one Victini, otherwise it is literally Seismitoad, Slurpuff. That's it.
Yeah.
Sometimes consistency is key. It's brought him this far, so obviously it's been working. But yeah, without Jirachi, you can't get that savior supporter either.
If you're Andrew, I mean, you're feeling really great about that. You get basically a free win in your game
against a bad matchup, like playing against.
Right, and now it's just, if that happens one more time, I win the tournament. All right, I get the 150 championship points. You get a 2-round bye at the national championships. I mean, it's a huge victory to have under your belt.
Sometimes you're able to scrap together this miracle short win. I've had it happen many times over the Pokemon trading card games I've played. And I can tell you right now, we take those. We take those to the bank.
Yeah, I mean, you feel a little bad, but you'll take the win.
Yeah, from an outside perspective, I feel terrible. I want to see these games play out as developed as possible. But if you're Andrew, man, that's really good.
Sure, and now we are heading into game number 2. There's Andrew. He's got to be feeling pretty good about his spot. Rith, probably a little nervous after losing that, but, he's played so many games today. Man, he knows he can battle back from this.
You can't imagine he can get a start that bad again, right? He's got the double to start so far, I see. But again, it's like Skyla is his supporter. I don't see any draw. There's Xerasic and Skyla. I'm not sure if there's any more.
Sure. Now, Andrew, he didn't get a basic Pokemon in his opening hand, so he had to show Rith his hand. To start the game with a basic Pokemon, Rith will get an extra card because Andrew did not have a basic. And there's another
second time. So all of a sudden, Rith's hand that's maybe a little less than impressive can become a lot better. 2 cards right at the start of the game.
Yeah, and he will be going first. I mean, that's a great opportunity to, he'll draw another card at the start of his turn, maybe get a couple Swirlix down, get the Seismitoad going, and I mean, this is pretty much what he wanted to see in the second game.
I'm pretty sure we're going to see a more developed game this time. It's not going to end in 3-4 turns.
Yeah, I would hope so. So now, Andrew, we're going to hope he draws a basic here, and if you're him, I think, I don't know, what do you want to start with? I would say almost except Jirachi EX.
Yeah, it's weird. Your opponent can still hit you up with Hypnotoxic Leads.
The little guy's bad. Any.
Dedene's not that good either. I'm like looking at his list. He's got all of these starters that have free retreat. I would say one of those is probably one of the best. Zubat Zubat can be a little risky, but just anything in a Hawlucha next turn.
You know, I actually don't mind opening up with this Dedenne because its first entrainment allows you to search for 2 basic Pokemon. So this could actually be a decent way to search for 2 Zubat and get them on the bench, but it does take away his option to be aggressive here.
That is a big in a deck like this where you're trying to get all these Pokemon out. If you're going to be item locked, why not find alternate ways to get Pokemon in play? Also, you know, he's not going to be facing any immediate pressure. I'd be surprised if Seismitoad hit the active spot at this point. We've got our little piece of cotton candy Swirlix in the active spot. It'd be terrible for just, you know, attach, get some more basics down. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew's first turn is going to be very crucial because it might be the only time he gets to play item cards the entire game. Of course, Rith going first, which means he can't attack this turn, but next turn you got to assume that Quaking Punch is on the way, and after that, you're just going to see Quaking Punch every turn. So if you have item cards, play him immediately.
Oh yeah, he's ready to Quake. He started with the opening double colorless in hand, which is the Seismitoad dream. He's ready to go.
Yeah, so the Swirlix opening actually pretty decent for Rith because if he evolves the Slurpuff next turn, he can use that tasting ability. He can draw 2 cards. That would be pretty nice. But we'll have to see. I know he has that double colorless in his hand. He's kind of debating attaching it, and he actually passes instead.
I know some decks, you know, they sort of tech in like an enhanced hammer to instantly
Right.
discard special metal, or I keep saying special metal, special energies. The problem is Andrew doesn't run it.
Yeah.
I would have maybe tried to put it down, but he only runs energy, so I can understand being a little cautious, a little hesitant.
Yeah. And oh, Andrew, he's plays that Professor Juniper, draws a hand of 7, and Ultra Balls away 2 Super Scoop Up. He knows.
Gonna hurt.
Yeah,
you know how much he cares about those Super Scoop Ups. But to be fair, in this matchup,
he won't be able to use them.
Nah.
But I didn't see an energy card in his hand, and that's going to be a big bummer for him. He wants to get energy down. You know, just be able to power up your attackers. Missing this is big. Even to use entrainment to grab 2 Zubat, that could have been enormous.
Entrainment's great though, because you can attach entrainment, and then you maybe have that energy still in the next turn to retreat if you have to. Without it, that is a slowdown that he was not prepared to deal with. Rith's like, okay, I'm safe now. There was no hammer coming. I'm gonna get this double down. Giant Sycamore. Let's get some pieces. Let's get some lasers. You know?
Sure, he had a decision there. Do I use tasting before the Professor Sick to draw, I don't know, something to give me a float stone so I can retreat? Or do you play it first, not wanting to draw more cards that you want to discard? You know, if you draw like 2 more double colorless off your tasting and you have to Sycamore discard your hand, that could backfire horribly. So he goes the safe route, plays the Sycamore first, and then he can use tasting.
An interesting card is on Rith's deck that you don't often see in Seismitoad. One Battle Compressor, of all things. One thing we talked about this deck is it's great for discarding things for decks that take advantage of the discard pile. For him, I think playing this as a one-of copy to thin his deck out. But if looking at his deck, are there cards in here that I'm not going to use? I'm thinking maybe Victini is something that he likes to do with the compressor. We'll see what he ends up choosing.
There are a lot of combinations that are great with Battle Compressor. Obviously, you can go that route. Just teeny in this card that. But another hidden gem about it is...
Oh, the supporters?
Yeah, you can discard supporters and then get them back with VS Seeker. So it's a backwards way of being able to search out the card you want and then being able to get them right back with the VS Seeker.
So here we see a sort of combination of that. He's discarding Victini. I don't need that in this matchup. But he's also dropping supporters that can now be recycled with VS Seeker later.
Right, he just wants to search for ones that he wants immediately. You discard them so that you can get them with the VS Seeker. It might seem a little strange, but it's very effective.
All right, so looks like we're going ahead with a tasting.
Yeah, looks like the tasting there. Gonna draw the cards. I think he puts the die on there to kind of signify that he's.
Oh, I got confused. I was like, I don't think you damage yourself with tasting, right?
Yeah, and he's gonna play the switch and just switch right into Seismitoad, and he'll get that Quaking Punch. No more items for Andrew.
Now, he didn't get a muscle band, so this Dedenne may survive once again. But sometimes you actually want him to knock you out, you know? If you're stuck sort of getting slow-rolled with this Pokemon that you really only want to... It can stay. Oh, is he missing an energy again?
Okay.
Oh, strong at the end. Strong is weird, though. it can get discarded immediately by an Enhanced Hammer, and you actually can't attach it to a non-fighting Pokemon, so if he wants to attach and retreat this Dedenne, well, he can't with Strong.
Yeah, I think he's going to make the smart play here, not put down that strong energy. The Enhanced Hammer is just too strong. You want to be able to use your energy when you attack, right? Put it down, attack immediately. You don't want to put it down and then have it get removed and even attack. And maybe he could save it for a Hawlucha if he manages to draw one of those.
Yeah, it's definitely a card that you want to drop, play, and attack immediately. And he's sort of just hoping, I think this Dedenne just needs to get knocked out.
We're actually seeing an escape rope from Rith here. He's forcing Andrew to choose. Push up the Landorus, which would be a pretty bad idea, or his Zubat. So now we see a Slurpuff goes to the active spot, uses Tasting, gets to draw 2 cards.
Another Swirlix hits the bench.
And, maybe he can find a Muscle Band to knock out this Zubat here.
If he can't, I see he's got Computer Search, so he could definitely that out as an option. The Zubat does have free retreat, so this might have bailed Andrew in a small way, depending.
Right. I mean, I'm pretty sure Rith will get a knockout here, and I'm not sure what Andrew looks like, but I saw a lot of item cards. That's not what you want to see against Seismitoad.
No.
He just needs to get a bunch of energy and a Hawlucha and, just start attacking. That's your.
So here we see Rith checking out his deck. He's thinned it in many ways. Muscle Band is the card that he decides to go for. I'm going to get this knockout on this Zubat while I can.
Yeah, Zubat's going to go down. I'm sure Andrew would have loved to evolve that Zubat. Just get the sneaky bite going, get some damage on board. And not only that, but, prevent Zubat from being knocked out by a quick Quaking Punch. But looks like Zubat is going to be the first victim here in this game.
And one thing I'm sure Andrew's got to be disappointed by is he has no other free retreater on the bench. One thing that's great after suffering a knockout is promoting something like these Zubats, like these Hawluchas, so that you can promote the free retreater, then choose afterward who you want to retreat to. With his current board position, he might just be locked into a contract with Landorus.
And you can see how quickly this is going to shift a little bit. We get the extra Slurpuff into play. And then, we get the Quaking Punch going, and we start to see Hypnotoxic lasers come out soon, and, man, Rith is going to get a stranglehold on this game.
There it is, Quaking Punch, Zubat's down, Landorus is forced up. Of course, it's water weak, so he's really going to have to maximize on this damage, find a Hawlucha as soon as possible. He Junipers, just discarding a Landorus EX, sort of showing, that's not my ideal attacker right now. I need Hawlucha City. Oh, and I don't know if he's going to find one.
All right, I think at least he got a Zubat he can put down. That'll be nice. If he can start getting Golbat and Crobat out, maybe add some damage on there, make it a little easier to knock out Seismitoad. He's going to have to use the non-EX point. Golbat, Crobat, Hawlucha. That has to be his go-to.
I do see Landorus EX is about to get some foul treatment. Hypnotoxic lasers right around the corner. Seismitoad can obviously hit him for a lot of damage, but maybe he can force the Sleep Flip as well. That's never good. There's a lot of different ways that this Landorus can be slowed down.
Sure.
Here's one of them, and energy removal.
There's the Crushing Hammer. Head's going to discard that strong energy right there. That sets a turn. Sure, Hammerhead only costs 1 energy, but you don't really like committing an energy to something that's about to get knocked out, and it will get knocked out in 2 hits by Quaking Punch.
So for those of you guys maybe a little confused, it seems Rith has a system to remember which tastings he's used, since he can use up to 4 in a turn. Uses the blue dice, which are not damage dice, to signify that.
Yeah. Looks like we're just going to see the Quaking Punch. Interesting, he's not even using Hypnotoxic Laser. He knows that, well, I can just Quaking Punch twice. I could go for the fancy Sleep Flip, maybe prevent my opponent from attacking, but I want to save those for things like Hawlucha that might be a problem.
Yeah, that's definitely a key card in making sure you can get that knockout. And we saw Rith sort of pay the price from playing a little too aggressively in the first game. Maybe he's going to just go already has control.
Absolutely. He's going to, take a prize lead, a bigger one here, taking out Landorus EX, and it becomes harder and harder to come back from Andrew's side. Seismitoad. Oh,
we do see the very, very crucial Hawlucha hit the board.
There we go.
That is a big deal. So Hawlucha can clean up a knockout on this Seismitoad coming up. Andrew's going to need to stream Hawlucha for pretty much the rest of the game.
Right. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to see some Golbat and Crobat at some point. But yeah, Hawlucha has to be the heavy hitter here. Weird to think about, only 70 HP, but he is definitely the heavy hitter in this matchup.
So interesting, Rith opted to just discard his Muscle Band there. I guess it doesn't really matter. he can't play items anyway, so it's not like new items are going to hit the field.
Yeah, and it looks like he may opt to play that Professor Sycamore, and so, why not play the Tool Scrapper, discard Muscle Band. It's not a card I need anyway.
Oh, he does the Sycamore.
Okay, so we do see a Tasting number 1, Tasting number 2, drawing 2 extra cards for the turn. You know, those Slurpuff make it so his deck is very resistant to N, which we just saw Andrew play. Most of the time, N is a very disruptive card, puts your opponent down to low hand sizes. But when you have the ability to just draw 2 or 3 extra cards in a turn, all of a sudden an N to 1 turns into an N to 4 or 5.
Yeah, that definitely changes. N is normally a game ender, but it isn't really here, especially when he's set up. And whenever he suffers a knockout, like this Seismitoad EX is probably going to get knocked out sometime soon, he can promote the Slurpuff with the Float Stone, and he gets to draw an additional card. Tasting draws 2 in the active spot, and then he can retreat.
So right now, Rith has complete control of this game. Even though he's just using that Quaking Punch attack, not doing a damage, it's just enough to get those knockouts and really be disruptive here.
So Andrew does replace the stadium with his own fighting stadium, so he can deal additional damage here. However, I do believe Rith has a replacement Verbank of his own in hand.
We have an interesting spot here. Andrew could actually use Energy Short on Dedenne to do the final 40.
And he sees it.
He might walk into the Quaking Punch knockout afterwards. You know, Rith wouldn't have to use the Hypnotoxic Laser, but, you know, he's saying maybe Hawlucha is a little more important.
Yeah, I mean, he only needs to do a very small amount of damage to knock out the Seismitoad EX. Save your Hawlucha. He doesn't have a replacement right now. He needs to hold on to as many as he can to even have a fighting chance at pulling this one off.
So Dedenne, even though not the favorable starter for Andrew, he is going to take advantage of it, I guess.
I'm trying to see what Andrew got. Zubat hits the ground. Oh, another Hawlucha. See, this is why it's okay to risk the Dedenne so you can close the game out with our Luchadors.
Right, so there we see Energy Short, just 40 damage, but that's all you need. You get the knockout on Seismitoad, but, I mean, it almost seems inevitable on Rith's side. He has 3 prize cards left, 2 Seismitoad EX powered up. You know, those hip lasers could start firing at any time. He just has to find 3 more knockouts.
Yeah, and look how many cards he can draw. You know, the active Slurpuff, Tasting, draw 2. Benched 1, draw an additional card. If over any of those draws he finds no Tasting, draw another card. It's a very consistent engine.
Yeah, he's actually going to play an N, give Andrew a taste of his own medicine, put Andrew down to 4 cards. He'll draw 3, but then he gets the 2 from the active Tasting, the 1 from the benched Slurpuff. So 3 extra cards, turns his N to 3 into N to 6, and that looks a lot better.
All right, so Andrew drawing 4 cards, and he cannot, he has things of his own to draw past this.
No, unfortunately, he does not. So now we'll see Rith start to use those Slurpuff abilities. He'll draw 2 cards for the active one, 1 card for the benched one, just trying to draw into more and more of his resources. Just a very consistent, streamlined deck. You know, sometimes all you need to do is just use Quaking Punch.
So I'm actually not sure if I see any Hypnotoxic Laser in Rith's hand. He's going to really want those to make sure he can one-shot the Hawlucha. Also wants to replace the Stadium. Has opted to play just 2 Verbank City Gym. So we'll see how he can on out. But right now, the lock continues. Quaking Punch for days.
Yeah, I mean, he can Quaking Punch with this Seismitoad. He'll get the knockout, but he actually set himself up to a Hawlucha knockout. If we can see a strong energy and a Golbat, and there's the Golbat.
Oh, I think he's got the strong energy too.
Oh, there's a big strong there. That means Hawlucha can flying press for 100 damage, finishing off the Seismitoad. He'll actually go down to 2 prizes, and he just has to finish off 1 more of those Pokemon EX to win.
And ends it all with a Colress for 7. When you are locked on items, you want as many supporters as possible. That hand was divine.
That's pretty good. And you know, if you're Andrew, you might want to get another Golbat this turn. That would probably be your best case scenario. Maybe even another Zubat. That's really what he wants to draw into right here.
And you know, just a couple turns ago, I was thinking, okay, Rith is definitely going to even the series. Andrew is bringing up some pretty big heat.
Sure. I mean, there is the Flying Press, the small Hawlucha dealing the big damage, all because Rith couldn't find a laser or a muscle band to attack with that Seismitoad EX that had no damage on it.
So Rith draws, still no laser. I do believe he has a Skyla out to a laser if he wants it.
The problem is, though, he doesn't have the Verbank City Gym. Well, never mind.
Now he does. Tasted his way right into it.
Right, but he needs both a muscle band and Verbank, and Laser.
Oh yeah, this benched one doesn't have Muscle Band.
That's right, so he needs all 3 of those cards to knock out this Hawlucha. If it survives a turn, that could be pretty big.
Put the counter on one of his Swirlix on accident.
So we see the other tasting, and I don't see any part of the combo yet. I mean, he has the Verbank, but he doesn't have a Laser or a Band. He would need all 3 of those to get the knockout. And again, if Hawlucha lives, he gets to Flying Press again. Horrible for Rith.
Oh boy, yeah, there are a lot of scenarios now. It's like, oh man, do I throw up this Seismitoad and just get battered by this Hawlucha? If he doesn't attack with Quaking Punch, Andrew has access to all of these items. He might be able to get some Crobat madness.
There we see Crushing Hammer hits the heads, discards the Strong Energy, so he's kind of accepting now. All right, I probably won't be able to knock out your Hawlucha. Let's at least try to discard the energy. We might see another N this turn.
Yeah.
Limit the hand size.
VS Seeker for it, I think, would be probably a strong play here. Andrew actually does have the Strong Energy in hand as well, so being able to limit him. He's drawing 2 cards, a third once his turn starts. He might be running pretty low on energy.
So this game is a lot closer than I thought it would be. You know, that big turn from Andrew getting both the Golbat and the Strong Energy, it really made this game really tight, combined with Rith missing the Hypnotoxic Laser or the Muscle Band. Previous turn, we could see another small edge go towards Andrew if Rith cannot get the knockout right here.
All right, so Andrew draws his 2. Rith draws his 2, but can obviously mitigate that quite a bit. Oh, and another Slurpuff down.
Yep, there's another tasting. Draws just 1 more card. He's used all of his abilities. And now here comes Seismitoad. Just a Quaking Punch for 30 damage. Big missed opportunity.
Yeah, Andrew. Oh, we see a Crobat drop. There's 3 counters, and now he can attach and attack this damaged one, or go completely fresh. Opts to go fresh.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the right play. Use the fresh Hawlucha, and now things are getting very scary for Rith. Right? He has the Seismitoad. Just 90 damage separates him from, losing this tournament.
Tasting. Here they come. I do see at least Hypnotoxic Laser.
I know if Andrew wins this game, just deals 90 more damage. Rith loses the tournament, Andrew wins. So I guess Rith's looking for the Laser, and the Muscle Band here just has to go for another Crushing Hammer.
Wow, he is going wild on those flips. Very big flip. I do not know if Andrew has the replacement energy in hand. He has gone through a lot of energy and only runs 10 in the deck.
Right. Now we do see, I think that's only the first Hypnotoxic Laser of the game. Pretty strange. We haven't seen more of those, but that's going to be big.
He was very conservative with them.
And this Sleep Flip coming up, huge.
All right, so here comes the attack. This flip is big.
And it's heads. Okay.
It's awake. He can retreat that if he decides to.
Oh my god. Professor
Juniper. Was that a Juniper top deck?
It was, and here we go. 7 cards.
Oh man, he could potentially win the game on this turn.
He could get a Golbat and a Fighting Stadium. That would be it.
Here's Golbat. Is there a Fighting Stadium too?
I don't see it. He's so close.
Is that 10 damage within here?
That'll be 10 damage short of winning the tournament.
Oh, man. But still, this Seismitoad, man, just on the brink. Does Rith run any way to heal?
He does. He runs 1 max potion. If he could find that 1 max potion, he could perhaps save his tournament, but this is getting so risky.
He has run through many double colorless energy, though, as well. That might break the lock. Wow, Andrew, putting on the pressure. The Hawlucha army showed up to fight.
And we've seen it time and time again. It's just the efficiency of these 1 energy attackers. The Hawlucha, aided by those Golbat and Crobat, the sneaky and surprise bites. Somehow all this damage just adds up and ends up getting weird knockouts that you didn't think were possible.
So Rith switching now, opting to draw that extra card off the tasting. He is really, on his last legs. He needs to make sure he gets everything he can. Maybe max potion. I'm not even sure what you really want here.
It might already be in the discard pile. I don't know if he's discarded the max potion at some point. The scariest part here has so many ways to deal 10 damage to even a benched Pokemon.
He just needs to evolve once on one of these bats.
Yeah, or an energy card can even swoop across with a Golbat to win the game.
Now, wouldn't that be stylish? I know that's something you've been wanting for a long time. 10 damage, 1 counter is all that's left. Andrew from
regional champion.
Regional champion.
Wow. Yeah. So this is extremely exciting right now. Game number 2 of the finals. We see another Hypno Laser.
Oh boy, these flips are real. Oh, Tails, no sleep this time. I love having the player cams for these moments specifically. Look at the tension on Andrew's face. There's so much anticipation Please, let me survive. Let me attach an energy and attack. I've got something to hit the bench, don't I?
And on the other side, Rith is just saying, oh man, this is not a good situation for me. Going for the Quaking Punch.
Look how quickly he hit the discard. I think he's got it.
And
oh, strong energy doesn't evolve to Crobat. Don't even need an attack. Kaboom!
And Andrew Mahone is your regional champion here in St. Louis. Didn't even attack to win the game. He just evolves his Pokemon and takes the final knockout.
Oh my goodness, look at that big smile on his face. This was a matchup that he really did not want to go through, and he really made it look pretty convincing.
I mean, congratulations to Rith.